Hello students, let's go over Unit 4 revision worksheet. So students, how can you tell the difference between a living thing and a non-living thing? Well, let me tell you. Living things follow some life processes while non-living things do not. The life processes are: all living things need air to breathe, they need water and food, they can move, they have senses, they can produce young, they grow, and produce waste products. Remember students, the three main living things are plants, animals, and humans. Let's start with question number 1. Magda's book contains pictures of these things. Help her finding out which are alive and which are not alive by filling the table. The pictures are wall clock, eagle, candle, car, flower, frog, clouds, and moon. Let's help Magda decide whether the things in the pictures are alive or not alive. Let's start with the wall clock. Do you think a wall clock is alive or not alive? Of course it's not alive, because the wall clock doesn't follow any of the life processes. How about an eagle? An eagle is alive because it follows the life processes. Now let's think of a candle. A candle can be a good light source, but do you think a candle is alive or not alive? A candle is not alive. Our next picture shows a car. This can be a bit challenging. Do you think a car is alive or not alive? Remember, a car can move and it can produce waste products. But does that make a car alive or not alive? Think about it. A car is absolutely not alive because it can move by the help of humans. Also, a car produces waste products by burning fuels. This waste product can be very harmful on all living things. The next picture shows a flower. Do you think a flower is alive or not alive? Of course a flower is alive, because flowers and all plants absorb the CO2 from the air and provide us with oxygen. Now let's think of a frog. Do you think a frog is alive or not alive? This is an easy one. Of course a frog is alive, because a frog follows the life processes. How about clouds now? Do you think they're alive or not alive? They are not alive. And last, the moon. Let me give you this one. Of course, the moon is not alive as well because it doesn't follow any of the life processes. Now, let's get to question number 2. Here are some life stages of living things. Use these words to complete each line. The words are horse, frog spawn, chick, plant, and baby. Let's start with letter A. As you can see, letter A shows the stages in the life cycle of a frog. Now, can you guess what is the first stage in a frog life cycle? You guessed right. It's a frog spawn. Letter B shows the life cycle of a bird. The young of a bird is called hen. Can you guess this stage of the hen life cycle? Correct, it's a chick. Letter C shows the stages in the life cycle of a human. Do you remember the first stage in the human life cycle? Yes, it's a baby. Now let's get to letter D. Letter D shows the life cycle of a plant. As you can see, a plant starts off with a seed. When a seed grows, it becomes a seedling. A seedling is a baby plant, and when a seedling grows, it becomes a plant. Our last cycle here starts with a baby animal. When this baby animal grows, it becomes a foal. When the foal grows, it becomes a horse. Now let's get to question number 3. Safe has found this table about the number of young produced by some animals. As you can see in the table, the first column shows the animals and the second column shows the number of young produced. The number of young produced by a rabbit can be 8. The number of young produced by birds can be 6. The number of young produced by human can be 1 or 2. The number of young produced by fish can be thousands of eggs. Can you imagine this number? And last, the number of young produced by spiders can be hundreds of eggs. So the information in the table show us that fish and spiders can produce a large number of young ones. Now let's answer questions A and B. Question A. Which animals can have the greatest number of young? The answer is fish and spiders. Question B. Why do some animals have many young? Think about it. The reason why some animals can have a large number of young is because they don't need to care for their young ones and they leave them to look after themselves. Other animals, such as polar bears, can produce from 1 to 3 young ones. They must provide their young ones with shelters and food because they cannot survive on their own. Now let's get to our last question, which is question number 4. Look at this plant, then answer the following statement with true if the statement is correct and with false if the statement is incorrect. Let's start with letter A. Does the plant have green leaves? Take a look at the plant. Do you see green leaves? Of course. So the answer for letter A is true. Letter B. Does the plant have a flower? It's obvious. The plant has many flowers. So the answer is true. Letter C. Is it a tree? Do you see a tree in the picture? Of course not. So it is false. And letter D. Does it have berries? Do you see any berries on the plant? Of course not. So the answer is false. Okay, well done. So we are done for now. See you next time.